My English teacher was me from the future. In high school, my old English teacher was a cyclist, and on one unfaithful day, he got into an accident and broke his hip. That's when we were assigned a new substitute teacher for English. In the weeks that followed, we were introduced to our new substitute English teacher. For the sake of the story, let's call him Mr. C, because privacy. Mr. C started off his first couple of lessons very normally. Teaching class, teaching about English grammar, basically just, normal class stuff. But that all changed very quickly. One day we were sitting in another classroom, and someone went up to the whiteboard and wrote down the name of some sort of mythical creature. I don't even recall what the reason was behind it, but it happened. This was before the class even started. So me and my friend Martin would always sit in the middle of the class at the front. In some classes, these desks actually touched the desk of the teacher. In that particular classroom, that was also the case. So as I saw someone write down the name of some sort of mythical creature, I said, actually, yes, I was in fact one of those people. And I started correcting the person on their knowledge of this particular mythical creature. Suddenly, Mr. C was like, no, and started to argue with me about that said mythical creature. This didn't last a couple of minutes until class started. This lasted the whole class. The whole 15 minutes long, everyone was sitting on their desks, looking like this. As me and Mr. C were like, but what about this? But what about that? But have you considered this part of the story already? But in the ancient Greek mythology, it happened for an hour. I'm pretty sure I even stayed after class to continue the argument. So that was the first time that happened. So in the next couple of classes, we were moved back to the traditional English classroom, which coincidentally also linked our desks to that one of the teacher. And that's when this new thing started happening. Every class, me and Mr. C would discuss something fiercely throughout the middle of class. Some subject would be brought up, I would say something, he would be like, no, and I would be like, yes, and then we would have a conversation that lasted pretty much the entire class. Me and my friends who were sitting all around me loved that guy because it was so hilarious how we could constantly go into discussions about everything. But he would always pretend to hate me. It was definitely pretending. Because he would be like, Quentin, you're such an annoying kid! And I would be like, no! And we would continue on with our discussions and everything. But like after school, he would sometimes even send me stories he wrote. Like, hey, I wrote my own story. What do you think? And I would read the story and be like, oh, I think this is cool. So that's pretty interesting. But the thing was, the way he talked and the way he acted was so much like me that I suddenly realized it. The only logical explanation. Mr. C, my English teacher, was me from the future. So and as he was teaching class, because sometimes we actually had class, obviously, I said to my friend Martin, hey, I think Mr. C is me from the future. And Martin was kind of like skeptical and said things like, so in the future you become dark-haired, shorter, and left-handed. But he didn't get the most logical of explanations. Time travel side effects. Duh. So one day I went up to Mr. C and I said something like, I know that you're me from the future. I honestly don't even recall what he said, but it was probably very sarcastic because that's the way he talked. One day we were sitting in class and he and I were discussing everything again, and Martin would always be caught up in the middle of the discussion. We'd always go like this. Oh yeah, sir, but what about this and this and this story? Right, Martin? Yeah. And he would be like, but don't forget the ancient story of blah 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 blah. Right, Martin? Sure. Oh, but you're forgetting the most logical explanation, right, Martin? Yeah. He loved that. At some discussion, he was suddenly like, yeah, Quentin, that's what you get with people who have Asperger's syndrome, which I have. And I was like, you read my file. So in his free time, he actually went into the school register to look up my file to see like information about me. And apparently that was in my school file. I don't know how did that get in there? Did we ever tell the school? I suppose so. Anyway, I was like, you read my file. And he was like, yes. And we would discuss some more things. But there was one time where he got into class and he was like super angry. And we were all like, okay, what happened? So apparently like he had a long distance relationship with a girl who lived in the United States in like the East Coast, so there was like this big ass time difference. So she had come over for like a couple of weeks and now she went back, and he was like very sad about the fact that she went back, which is obviously normal. And he was like, he mentioned my girlfriend, and someone was like, what happened to your girlfriend? And he yelled, she's gone! And we were all like, oh, okay, they broke up, but they didn't break up. She just went back to the US since she was here on a vacation. And then at some point our teacher recovered, and since he was a substitute teacher, he had to go. He actually gave me and my friends who always talked to him his email address at the time, and we gave him like goodbye presents, and it was all a very interesting moment because it was like a super cool teacher. The only little downside was that our discussions kind of took a lot of time from actual teaching class. So when our teacher returned, and the year after that, we actually had to have extra English classes because we were a whole book behind the people that had other teachers because we didn't finish anything. So at some point, another friend of mine from another class who also had him was like, I think he is actually me from the future. But that's ridiculous, since he was obviously me from the future. Wow! Hey all, Lightfeather here. Thank you so much for watching this new storytime video because I love telling you stories. Please comment down below below. Have you ever had one of those strange connections with one of your teachers? And if you are new here, I would love to have you subscribe to this channel. I post something to get to know each other a little bit better like this, for example, a story on Saturday, and on Wednesday I post something to entertain you, such as a comedy sketch. All of that to let people know that it's awesome and okay to be yourself and to be unique, and you shouldn't let anyone change who you are because you are perfect the way you are. But above all, I really hope you like this video, and like I always say, just be unique, you're awesome the way you are.